guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Maisha for those who don't know me. So today I just want to tell, like my experience of working as a teacher's assistant at a public school in South Africa, right? So we are currently in phase 3 of the DBEPYEI Presidential Youth Employment Initiative in South Africa. So this program first came out in December of 2020. Yeah, so I was part of all phases, right? There were like 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and I was part of all of them. So what happened was in November of 2020, yeah, November 2020, this post came out and then we had to apply, right? So at that time we were applying at the schools. So you had to physically go to the school and drop off your CV there, right? So what happened was that I remember like I applied to like 2 schools, right? Because at that time I didn't have like a CV, and other schools wanted a CV. Other schools were just okay with the form. So there was a form that was out and you had to fill in that form and attach your qualifications and ID, and I think proof of residence and a testimonial. Yeah. So I did all of that and then I dropped it at 2 schools. It was my friend and I. So we applied, and then the schools that we had applied to later called us so that we can submit CVs, right? So we did that, and then they called us for interviews, guys. So my friend was called to both schools and I was only called to one school, right? Fine, whatever. The day comes for like the interviews. I remember it was Monday, the 30th of November 2020. That was the day for the interview. So guys, I personally didn't really want this job. I was just like, "Ugh, what is this?" But then my mom was like, "You are applying to this job, okay?" So I was like, "Oh, ngizothini ke?" Like breadwinner, or you are applying, so you have to apply, right? So I apply, and then yeah, I didn't really have any expectations because I didn't really want the job, like I said. So we applied and then they called us to the interview. So I applied to 2 schools and I was called to one school, right? And then we went to the interview. um yeah, guys, I wasn't prepared for the interview. Hey, like I said, I didn't really want the job. So how can you prepare for something that you don't even want, So I didn't prepare for the interview. We just went there. Yeah, and yeah, when we got there, I was so intimidated, guys. Like, guys. Anyway, we get to the interview, and then it was just so intimidating. And now I'm like, I think I want the job, but I'm still not sure. So fine, we they put us in a room, and then they tell us that we're gonna go into the interview room one by one, like the whole jab and whatever. So now it's my turn to go. I go into there, and then they ask, like, I remember the first question that they asked me was like, "Why should we hire you?" I was so unprepared for that interview, guys. And I was like, I am patient and I work well with kids. Just like that, guys. That's what I said. And then there was this other guy. So like that school that I was working at first was like the high school that I went to, right? So in the interview panel, there was like 3 people. It was the principal, who was my principal when I went to the school. There was the deputy principal, who was my deputy principal when I went to that school, and there was this man. So I didn't know like the third man that was there. And then he was like, "Is that all?" Like, after I said that I am patient and I work well with kids, he was like, "Is that all?" At this point, guys, I'm thinking maybe I should add something. Maybe I should just, give something, like add and just be like, but at this point, I'm like, what am I gonna add? I didn't prepare, so I don't know anything. So I'm like, in as much as I'm thinking that I should add something, I'm also like, what am I gonna add? Because I don't have anything to add. So I'm like, yeah, that's all. And then they asked like other questions and stuff, and then I left, and they were like, okay, it's fine. We'll call. If you don't call, then you just consider yourself unsuccessful, right? So fine, we leave. we go to the other school because my friend was called to that other school, so I just accompanied her to that school. So we get to that school, right? And then they're like, we've been waiting for you, what happened, where were you? And she told the truth, guys. She was like, yo, I had other schools where they had called me, and then they were like, oh, like, because I feel like at that point not many people were interested, and people had applied to many schools, obviously, and then obviously have like a preference of where you would want to go. And then they asked my friend, they were like, people didn't pitch up here, so we're just taking anyone that comes, we taking them. And then they gave her like the job on the spot. They were like, where do you want to work between this high school, that high school that you went to, and this primary school? She was like, obviously, just like, I want to work here. So they gave her the job there, and then she got the job, right? So fine, we just go home. I think we went to her house, and then we just chilled, and then they called me, and they're like, you get the job, right? So fine, my friend goes to the primary school, right? I go to the high school. So fine, we go to the job the next day, because it was on the 30th of November that they called us for the interviews, and then they also called us to tell us that we got the job, right? So my friend also got the job at the high school, but then she opted to go to the primary school. So now the next day we go to work, right? So we get there, it's a job, right? So I thought, we get there, guys. We sat under the tree for like 3 hours. They didn't know what we were gonna do, where they were gonna place us, where we were even gonna sit. We sat under the tree for like 3 hours, guys. And then after that, they called us into the principal's office, and they were like, the principal was very clear with us, and he was like, we were still thinking of what you guys could do, because like when the post came out, there was no clear job description of what we were gonna do at the schools, and so like the schools had to figure that part out, right? So they were just getting like free labor, I guess. And they had to like figure out what they're gonna make us do or whatever. So the principal is like, we don't know what you guys are really going to do, so today we just want you to go and bring your proof of account, so that we can sort out your payment stuff. Like, obviously you'll be glad, like, payment, many, 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 many. Okay, so we knocked off early, right? And then, so that was like the first day. We knocked off early, we went and to do like what they were asking, right? So the next day, I remember very very well. We were, yeah, that was like the second day, and then we were signing contracts. They were reading them to us, and then they were explaining that you guys are individuals. When you came here, you should act as individuals. You should still be individuals. You know, scale up, push more, femo. Like, what is that? There should not be any peer pressure, right? Basically. But also, I remember at that point, we were still missing, because we had to be 20, because at that point, they wanted like 10 EAs and 10 GSAs, right? So we had to be 20 all in all. I don't remember how many we were, but I remember that there were people that are still missing, and I think they didn't have people at that time, and I think that's why I got a job, even though I was so bad at the interview, because people that came to the interview opted maybe not to come to that school, and so that's how I ended up getting placed, right? So fine, we signed the contract. I knocked off early because I had to go somewhere, so I told the principal that I had to go somewhere. And then he was like, oh, okay, fine. And then it was a Wednesday, right? So I had to go for Thursday. And then I was like, I'll be back on Friday. And they were like, no, just take like the days off. You can just even leave now. So I left early. I don't know what happened to the other guys, right? So I was gone for like 2 days on Thursday and Friday, and then I left early on Wednesday. And then when I was gone, they got to know each other, guys. Like, and I was not there. But anyway, I got back on Monday, and they gave me my stuff. They were like, oh, they gave us masks. This is your mask. Fine, whatever. I take my mask. And then they were like, we're doing this activity, getting to know each other, who you are. Just a fun icebreaker, because we're getting to know each other now. We didn't really know each other. I think I knew like two people there, because like there was my friend, and then there was this other girl we went to high school with. So those were like the only two people that I knew. But then there were like 17 other people that I didn't know. So they were getting to know each other and I wasn't there. So I just introduced myself and I said, hey, my name is Maisha. And I think that you had to say whether you are in a relationship or single. I'm single. And what are you famous for? I'm famous for laughing, guys. Okay. That is what I'm famous for. It was December, so obviously most teachers had done marking, most things were done, and then we did a schedule. I don't know why, because there's essay exams these days, and you can also have a schedule from that. But then they wanted us to do a schedule in Excel, so fine, whatever. We did that, and then like we finished because like it was a lot of us, like it was 10 of us who were taking turns on one or two laptops, so you didn't really feel that you were working because you'd be there for like 10 minutes and then someone would come for like 20 minutes and then you'd come for like 15 minutes and then someone would come, so it wasn't like hectic work and stuff. So we did that, we finished, and then we started playing 30 seconds, playing games, getting to know each other, things like that. That was the vibes for like the rest of the year. And then payday comes, guys. Payday comes, and then they're like, no, guys, we're having trouble loading you on the system. Like, they were like, basically, they were saying that they don't know how to load us on the system or something like that, and they are gonna give us checks. Yo, guys, so they're gonna give us checks. Fine, that's fine, right? But then they're like, they're not gonna give us individual checks because like for every check that they write, the bank charges them like 200 rands. So they don't have that kind of money. So what they're gonna do is that they're gonna write 5 checks. So there were like 20 of us, so we had to divide into groups of 4 so that they can write 5 checks, right? And then I don't know what happened, but they ended up writing 4 checks, and then we had to be groups of 5. So they write 4 checks, and then we had to go and cash them out, right? So we go, obviously, like the 4 of us whose names were written on the check had to go to the bank, right? So we go to the bank, fine, to go and cash the checks. We get there, and now remember we're earning like, I think it was 3.5 at that time. Yeah, it was 3.5, and I think it was like 70K. Yeah, so the checks were worth 70K between the 4 of us, right? So I think it was 17.5K per check. I don't remember, I don't know, you can do the math, I don't know, I think. So we go to the bank, right? And then there's 4 of us, we go there, and we get told the school has reached the daily limit after cashing 2 checks, guys. They're like, the school has reached their daily limit. So it was the 15th of December. That's when the schools were closing. And they're like, the school has reached like its daily limit. And so we can't cash the check. There are 2 other checks, because like they said that the limit for the school was like 50K. So I think it came to 38K or something like that. I don't know, right? So now we had to go back, and the 16th was a holiday. The banks were not opening. We had to go back on the 17th, right? So fine, whatever. We go back on that day. Yo, guys, the day we go back, is there not more drama? Hey. So when we got to the schools, right, there were people that were hired as school assistants, right? And they were also paid by the school. So the day we went to the bank, it was like after a holiday. We got there so early in the morning, guys, but it was packed already. There was a queue. So fine, we stand in the queue. As we are standing in the queue, right, this other lady from our school, right, who works as a school assistant, comes to us, and she pretends as though she was there with us, but she just came now. She's like, oh guys, I've been looking for you, like, yo, I've been trying to call you, but there's no network, right? So we catch on, and then we're like, we've been here all this while. We also haven't been checking our phones, so we don't know that there's no network, right? So we pretend, we play along, and we just pretend that she's been with us, and she just went somewhere, and now she's back, right? So now we do that, but then we speak amongst ourselves, and we say this lady should be like the last. So there's like 3 of us right now, because it was two people that haven't checked their checks, and then now this lady is coming to cash her check as well. So now we speak amongst ourselves and say that this lady should be the last person to check her check, to cash her check. I'm sorry, because if anything happens, we don't want to come here again, right? So I didn't have a check because I had cashed it, right? But then I had to go there because I was driving the people, right? So I was driving the people because, guys, you can't carry 17K and then go into a taxi, right? Like during December, and then you have 17K and then you go into a taxi. So they took the checks while we were still outside. So I don't know what happened because they were supposed to punch her check in last there inside the bank, but I don't know what happened there. I think there was like a mess up, and then we had to call the principal and be like, the daily limit is we have still exceeded the daily limit because now this lady is here trying to cash a check as well. So we called the principal and explain the situation to him, and that's what helped us because apparently they have to call the principal before they cash any check that is written by the school, right? So that's what helped us, and then we got paid, and yeah, we got paid. And so what happened was that, so like the principals had the right to say that you guys are not closing because we didn't have any school holidays, right? We only had public holidays. So the principal had the right to be like, you guys should work until schools reopen, and you'll only have like Christmas, Boxing Day, and New Year's, right? But then our principal was like, no, you guys should close. So you guys have closed today. We closed like on the 15th when they gave us the checks, right? And then on the, I don't know if it was on the 17th or on the 18th, this teacher was calling people, telling them to come to school and help him. And like no one agreed, guys, to go there. No one agreed. Everyone was like, no, we're not coming because we have closed. Why are we coming to school after schools have closed, right? And also at that time, the school that we were at had not issued out reports, and people still refused to go to work so that they could help teachers with that, right? Because we had closed. Like, who calls you to work after you have closed, right? So I feel like for me, that place was not like, it was not giving you are at work. It was just giving, we here to have fun. Because like even when schools opened, we opened on like the 25th of January. So we opened like on the 25th of January in 2021. And that week in J, from the 25th up until like the 10th or something like that, we're just having fun, guys, playing 30 seconds, playing charades, just games. We're just there for games and fun, guys. They came this other week where learners had to collect like stationery and textbooks, and there were food parcels last year. Yeah, there were food parcels. That week, guys, did we not work? Did we not work so hard? That week, hey guys, that week we worked. We had to go to the storeroom to collect textbooks, and then we had to go to another storeroom to collect like the stationery, and then we had to go to another storeroom to collect the food and then put them in one place so that the learners can all get them all from one place. And then we had tables, and then someone would give out books for the subject, the other one for the other subject, someone would give out stationery, someone would give out the food parcels. So that's how we worked. That week we worked so hard, right? So that week passes, and then we go back to being like loafers, doing nothing, playing games, laughing. So that's what we went to. And then now it's just giving, there's no work to do. It was giving, there's no work to do. You're just here for vibes. So we just sit there and we just being on YouTube the whole day, playing games, doing nothing basically. So we would come to school in the morning, like 7, we had to be there, and we would sit from 7, right from 7, we would sit and do nothing the whole day, right? Until this other teacher was like, no, we should help out, like, with the dishing of food during break, right? And then that's when, like, we started working, and then we would dish out food during break, and Yeah, but besides that, it was not giving you're here to work. And also, the other thing was that we all stayed together in one room, right? So they put us like in this lab where we were all together and would just be there. 20 of us, guys. Imagine you put 20 people in a room and you don't give them any work to do. Obviously, we're gonna entertain our house. There's many of us, we're gonna talk, laugh, you know? So we did that, and then I remember this other day, guys, this other teacher came and she was like, she needs help. So she wants someone who is going to fetch books for her from a classroom or something like that. And we all looked at her. No one said nothing, guys. We all looked at her. And then she left. No one said anything. She came and she was like, "Oh, can someone please go and fetch my classwork books from the grade 9 learners?" And we were all like, and then she was like, "Okay," she left. That's what happened, guys. She left, and then yeah, I think we started working properly like after like a few weeks, and then it was like tests, like test season. Like it's always hectic during test season at schools, right? So they came like this test season, like where we had to mark, we had to invigilate, and all that jazz. And there started being conflicts where politics started coming out. But I feel like for me, I was oblivious to all that because I remember this other time, the principal came and then she addressed us. And she was like, there are issues that we do work for other teachers more than we do for other teachers. So we were basically accused of favoritism, right? So what happened was I went to that high school, right? And so did most people that were in that group. So we had teachers that we knew, obviously, teachers that taught us, and then we had teachers that came after we had left, right? So no, I don't know if anyone knew that teacher, but I didn't know that teacher. And I think that that teacher was the one that complained because there was this other situation where she came and then she wanted to give us her scripts to mark, and we were all like, we busy. Everyone was like, I have this, I'm still busy with this. I was like, I'm still busy with this. Someone else was also like, I'm still busy with this. And then she left, right? And then this other teacher, who was my grade 12 teacher, called me and she's like, I have scripts for you. I was like, you can bring them. And they stay in the same staff room, right? So obviously she overheard that. And then she was like, oh, so now they are taking your work, but they did not take my work. Fine, whatever, water under the bridge, right? And we moved, right? And then they accused us of not working, and then now they start to give us more work, guys. Yo. But yeah, that school, I feel like for me at that school it was just vibes, guys. Now I wasn't there to work. Like even when I was going to work, I was not going to. I was just going out to have fun. That was the vibes for me. Even when someone would bring work, I'm like, I have to work. Oh, I'm here to work. Oh, I have to mark this. Oh, I thought we were here to play 30 seconds and charades, but we're here to work. Oh, okay. But I feel like in that workplace, guys, no one knows me as a person who works. No one knows me as any. I feel like because that's the vibes I was getting. Like I was not there to work. I was there to have fun and get paid. Okay. And then that contract ended, right? Wonk, wonk, wonk. Unfortunately, that contract ended. Ah, man, it was whatever. But we still have a group, guys. From the people that were working in that school, we still have a WhatsApp group, and it's still rocking, guys. That's how rocking it was at that workplace. Okay, so fine, the contract ends, and then there comes phase 2, right? Yo, now phase 1, guys, I feel like a lot of people were like me in phase 1. A lot of people were like, ugh, this job doesn't even sound like a real job, doesn't even pay anything, it just pays peanuts. But people saw that this was a real thing. We were working, we were getting paid, and so now in phase 2, I understood that it was going to be more hectic, like more people are now wanting to work, more people are open, to this whole thing. So we had to apply online, right? So obviously online you can apply to multiple schools, at a time. And yeah, so we applied online, we did that. And yo guys, my friend, the one that I applied with for phase one was, the friend that I was always talking to, because the site would be like, it's overcrowded, so you can't get in, and it was, a hustle. And I remember this other night, my friend called me at like 3 a.m. and she was like, I just applied, go and apply, yo dude. And I'll I'll forever be grateful to my friend, you know. And she was like, I applied, go and apply. And then I woke up and I applied. Like, she even called my mom, guys. She even tried calling my mom so that she could wake me up, right? And I applied, and then we applied, and then I got called by the primary school that she was working at, right? Guys, so I've unfortunately, I don't know what happened with my friend's application, and she couldn't get the job because I think she didn't put her location there, so she wasn't appearing on any school, right? So yeah, that was sad. And but I got called to like the primary school that she was at for an interview. I'm like, hey, now you're calling me? Now you're calling me? Okay, but I got called there. Now I'm like, the stakes are high, guys. I cannot afford to go to the interview and get there, and they're like, why should we hire you? And I'm like, I'm patient and I work well with kids. Now I'm preparing for this interview, guys. Now I know what unemployment is. Now I want this job, right? so so fine, I was prepared for that interview, guys. No one in that interview room can tell me that I don't deserve the job, okay? No one in that interview can come here and say you said nothing in that interview room. No one can come for me in that interview, okay? I am very confident of that. This time I was well prepared, and yeah. So we went to the interview, and so they first called us right from the list, and they were like, oh, we saw your name, can you bring your CV to the school tomorrow and your qualifications? And then I did that, and then they called me, they were like, come for an interview. And then I did that, I went to the interview, and they were like, you hired. So fine, we hired, we go to the school, we sign contracts, and then we start working, right? So now when I got to that school, right, they assigned everyone to a grade, right? And they like from the get-go, they're like, you are going to be working with teachers from this grade. So if any teacher from this grade needs anything, they are gonna come to you. If they need I was gonna say water, but guys, if they need like help with marking, if they need like help in the classroom, if they need you to keep order in the classroom, if a certain teacher is not around, then you are gonna make sure that there's order in that like during the period in the classroom, right? For all that grade that you are at, right? So there were like 4 classrooms for the grade that I was allocated to. And I feel like at this school it was better organized in a sense that um already it's day one and they're already telling you what they expect from you, right? And I felt like it was better organized than that. Or maybe it was because it was not the first phase, it was like a second phase, and they had learned, a few lessons from the first phase as well. Because I wasn't at that school, so I can't really say, right? Maybe the school that I was at during phase one were better like during phase two. I don't know, because I was not at that school in phase two. So now I'm at this school and I can see that already there's like, this is work. I'm here to I'm here to work, guys. So fine. I get there and then they tell us that, right? They allocate us to the grade, and then they take me to like this other teacher who was teaching. She's the HOD and she was also teaching that grade, right? And then so she sort of like introduces me to everyone. She's like, this is our assistant. She's the one who's going to be helping us in this grade, right? And then she introduces me to like most of the teachers. And then fine, and then she's like, you can sit in this staff room. This is the staff room for teachers of that grade, right? So you can sit in this classroom and just chill for today. I don't remember what was happening, but then she was like, someone who's like supposed to show me around was not there, so I can sit there and just just chill, I guess. Until that person comes to, I don't remember who that was, until that person comes tomorrow and shows me the ropes. So I just chilled in there, and then yeah, I was just chilling, doing nothing. And yeah, but then I came to work the next day, and it was all systems go, would be in class. And it was like, so this time around, we were hired in the beginning of November, as opposed to phase one, we were hired in the beginning of December, right? So now it's like November, it's like peak exam season, the learners are writing, and so we are there, we invigilating, we marking, we working, right? And at this school, they also believed that, you know what, you should sell yourself. You should not wait for someone to come and be like, do this. You should be proactive and be like, oh, let me help you with that. And that was the culture. And I felt like now I'm at a work, right? But I sort of enjoyed it. I feel like for me, phase two was like top tier. Like that was the season where I worked. That was the season where, you know, and the thing I liked about this week was now there was no thing of we are all gonna sit together during lunch. It was like I never saw any of my colleagues until after school or before school. We were like in the morning where we were sanitizing kids because like we'd be together like there in a line sanitizing kids. And that's when we'd be together and talk. But then, like during school hours, during break, I was alone, and then I'd only see them after school. Of which, like, that was something that I really liked and I appreciated. And it gave you the vibe that you are at work. Okay, you're not here to play. you know and that phase for me was the best phase. Like phase two was the best phase, right? So like we were doing that, we were in the classrooms, and during break we dish out food for learners, like, and I'd help at their grades that I was allocated to, and then there was other people at other grades, right? And then you take the stats. So I would take the stats for the grade that I was allocated to, and then like everything that I was doing, I was basically doing for the grade that I was allocated to, right? So that was phase two. Any teacher that wanted a copy from my grade would tell me, the vibes. Those were the vibes, right? Phase two, and then phase two ends, guys. Okay, phase two ends. So when phase two ends, there was also like school assistants at the school, right? So when phase two ends, they said that there was going to be phase three, and then there was not going to be any applications or anything. We were just going to transition into phase three, unless if you didn't qualify. Like there were criteria for people who didn't qualify. Those who didn't qualify left, and those of us who qualified moved forward, right? So now we are into phase three, and then the school assistants leave the school. Apparently their contract had ended, right? So now they tell us that we are going to help with the cleaning and stuff because there are no more school assistants, and we are just the assistants that are there, right? So they tell us that we are going to also start cleaning as well. Okay, fine. And then I think like a day or two later, they also renewed the school assistants contracts, right? But then our school was like, we are still going to clean, guys. Like that's when my heart dropped. Because now you are expected to clean, and you are still expected to do like the things that you were doing. That's why like everything changed for me. I'm like, why is everything not returning to normal? Why are we not returning to the way that we were working, right? Because now there's a lot of work on us. Already we were working, we had like a lot of work. So now if you are also saying that on top of the work that we had, we are going to clean, what is that? But they had their reasons. But it was what it was, guys. I feel like a phase three for me has been the like phase one was here, phase two was here, phase three was like in the basement. Phase three, yeah, a lot happened, guys, in phase three. So it was it was traumatizing, guys. Phase three was like, phase two, I thought I had arrived at work. History showed me that now this is the workplace. You know, the workplace. And you are on your own, literally. Like phase three taught me about the toxicity of the workplace, you know, like it taught me that your fellow employees, your colleagues are not your friends. It showed me flames, okay? I feel like it's better now, and I'll do a story time on that. So yeah, that was my experience. It's been amazing, guys. I feel like at this school that I am at now, this is where I learned what being a teacher is, what it means to be a teacher, you know, how a teacher teaches, how a teacher is supposed to go about, you know, teaching the content. I feel like at that high school, I didn't get any of that, as you know, opposed to the primary school where I learned, you know, how I learned about ATPs. I didn't know, which is a annual teaching plan. I didn't know about that. Lesson plans, you know, compiling a teacher's file. And yeah, I think at the primary I learned more about what it takes to be a teacher and what it means, and you know, just the classroom environment in general. Whereas at the high school, it was just vibes. It was just vibes. But if you know, this program was, you know, created for us to experience, you know, what it means and what it feels like to be a teacher, I feel like the primary school did that for me. And yeah, just stay tuned for my story time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Bye.